We had another comment. We should touch on New York State Assembly Bill 4271, Ty. That was the one you were talking to us about earlier.
I don't know enough to talk about it, but
I looked it up.
I'll wing it.
We'll just wing it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
We're doing it live.
So obviously, every year in New York, we get a slew of new gun laws proposed because what else are our assemblymen and senators to do in Albany?
Well,
I mean, they have nothing else to do.
It's not like New York State's the least business-friendly state, the highest tax state,
Right.
the highest cost of government state, has the highest population loss, has the highest labor costs in the country. So it's not like they
More
should
laws will fix that.
It's not like they have one of the worst economies, minus New York City in the nation. So what else are they going to do?
We have every year since we've been open, and every year since before then, there's countless bills introduced. I don't know the number of how many bills are introduced in general. I know it's thousands and thousands. So we get thrown a lot of bills, or a lot of bills are proposed every year that never make it very far. But there is a scary one out there, and it's 4271. And basically what it does is it's trying to child-proof guns, specifically handguns.
but that makes sense.
From children 5 years old or less, right? And there's two ways you can do it. One, you could have a 10-pound or more trigger pull on the gun, which we'll talk about in a second. Or two, you can make it so that a 5-year-old's hands don't physically fit the gun where they could pull the trigger reasonably. So that's the bill that's proposed. Two things that I have a problem with. Number one, I don't know if companies... I mean, a 10-pound trigger pull can be had with just a spring, right, adjustment. People do that for Massachusetts now, where they need a 12-pound trigger pull. And New York City, I believe, also requires, NYPD requires that. So it wouldn't be a huge change. But you're going to have a company, say, like Smith & Wesson, right? If they don't have that as an offering... Now you have a company that has to make an entirely new SKU in their system, a new barcode in the system. It's an order of magnitude more work. And New York could implement a system like California, where now there's a roster, and there's a way to join the roster of approved guns that's a pain in the ass, right? So there's a chance if that law goes forward, companies just don't make a New York compliant gun. I am amazed, we talked about this in the stream before, I'm amazed that there are companies willing to do it for California. They make California compliant guns that are on their roster and things like that. I'm amazed by that, but there's enough of a market in California. You would think there'd be enough in New York, but are you willing to gamble that? I'm not. The second problem is, as we know, as actual gun owners, the trigger pull of a handgun is one of the most important aspects of determining, I would say, your accuracy with said handgun. If you have a massive 12-pound double-action only revolver, it's hard to be accurate with that. So now you're doing something, again, the government, trying to do something that they think is the right move. Now you've made people more of a danger in society
100%.
because they can't be as accurate with their firearm. It's absolute ridiculousness.
And what about the older ladies or gentlemen that have, not even older, what if you just have really bad arthritis?
Yeah.
Well, and also,
It's ableist.
what about the Wayne Dittmers who aren't going to comply with this anyways?
Right. And we already have laws. There's a law in New York to keep your firearms secure so that children cannot have access to them, or unsecure people cannot have access to them.
I do that.
I mean, to me, murder is illegal. So it's kind of like, what more do you need?
Well,
but it's like, they have to keep adding layers upon layers upon layers of, there's almost no, like you alluded to before, you pass enough laws and now everyone is a felon. And they can make felons of all of us very, very easily.
Well, that's kind of, I don't trust the government to decide anything because they're terrible what they do. I don't want it to be a judgment call. I don't want to be a, God forbid someone comes in my house to do harm and I defend myself, and now I have to defend myself to, the government DA
Right.
because he feels like, maybe I should have just talked the man out of, assaulting me
Sure.
and it's just, I think that some things are pretty cut and dry. And I think that ever since COVID, security theater and crisis theater is the cool thing to do if you're in government. You let things get really bad and you call it a crisis, and then you say, hey man, this is a problem. And only I, the government, can fix it. So just give me all the power, centralize all the power with me, and I'll take care of you.
Then you'll take care of you.
But what doesn't make any sense to me is after the Supreme Court in Florida ruled that the government has no right to protect you.
Right. They don't have to do anything.
So, well,
they want it both ways.
Yeah.
Brett raises another good point. about how, like a pinned mag on an AR-15, it actually makes it more dangerous if there's a malfunction. Now you have a very difficult time to clear that malfunction, and that's a great...
I don't know what that means.
You know what? Brett Carlson gets a chair. I'm just going to give this dude a chair. I like what he's saying
Wait,
tonight.
what?
Yeah, we're giving away a chair.
What?
Brett gets a
Lazy
chair.
Boys?
He gets a
You
chair.
get a chair. I can't see. What are you holding? I don't see anything.
Don't worry.
Oh, it took me a second.
Gotcha.
Tyler just giving your stuff away. Hey,
Yeah,
next,
you know what? You get a chair.
next commenter gets Brandon's car.
Andrew mentions that they ask you how you secure your firearms during your interview in Ontario County. So again, they already have a law set in place. Oh, geez, we're getting a lot of comments.
How do you secure
Shot
your
right up there.
firearms?
Yeah.
I let my 5-year-old keep an eye on it.
This is my safety.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Who
just,
can name that movie? The first person to name this is my safety. What movie is that from? I'll give you something.
Just something. We'll just give
something.
you.
We'll just grab something off the shelf.
You can come grab a beer.
Come grab it.
Come drink a beer with us. Ooh, what was that? New York doesn't even allow wrist braces on slingshots.
That's so true.
Yeah, Jesus.
Dennis the
Oh,
Menace.
my God.
Dennis the Menace would be in jail, and his dog would have been put down by the ATF. For, you know,
Yeah, a sharp knife is a safe knife. Same thing with a safe shooting firearm. They don't want us to be able to shoot well. Ain't
should
that
we
the
go
truth?
into? No, we're not doing that. Why the Second Amendment was founded and written?
That's kind of hammered out, but we can do that later.
So Lee Evans posted about Castle Rock versus Gonzalez was the Supreme Court case that ruled the police have no duty to protect you. If people want to read, which is true.
And I think that's good. I don't think that they should have to protect us because they might put themselves in harm's way. And we all know that a government employee and official is above me. Anyone who gets a government paycheck is a protected class. So I
That
should
is-
actually, if government officials ever in harm's way, I should actually get in the way of the harm.
give your life up
and say,
for
not
them.
not this government official. I'm just a piss on.
Thank you for your
taxpayer."
service!
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're a hero! Like, save the bureaucrat. And I think that's good. I think that the government really does. You know, they are their own protected class, and they should have special rights. I don't believe in moral parity, where they're just people like me, and their laminated name badges are really. I can't go to Staples Unlimited name badge, so I think that they deserve.
There's a dude I watch on YouTube who's a First Amendment auditor.
Dan Wormus?
I do watch him.
Yep.
He might. It's either him or there's a guy from Long Island. That's
Oh,
a
really?
Long Island auditor.
That's cool.
That they have a saying that it's legislation by laminator.
Yeah.
It might be Dan. I think
Yeah.
that has that saying,
And that's perfect.
And that is exactly true because you'll go into places where. That is not a law, but the person that's in charge of that place
Has
like,
a
why, no cameras in this area, and they laminated it, and it's up there, and like, well, that's our policy.
It's
They're like,
funny you say that because this was before. Those that don't know me, I was involved in a little incident, if you will, at a gym in Orchard Park where we had a meeting during the lockdown and the police and the health department
dare
came.
you.
And she showed her name badge. She held it up like, I'm from the health department. And I said, there's a Staples 2 blocks away. I can laminate my driver's license if it makes you feel any better. And she got super mad. And then she said, I'm just doing my job. And I said, your job sucks and you should quit. And then then something led to another, and we yelled at them, and they had to leave, and
Sure.
we high-fived each other.
Yeah.
No big deal.
was
But yeah, it was.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's you get this, you work for the government, you get a laminated name badge, and all of a sudden you're worth more. You're more
Right.
valuable than us,
Right.
us combined.
Right.
And so yeah,
there's the feelings police. They can enforce feelings versus what the law actually says.
Well.
I like Brian Odachowski's comment. For those of us who do most of our critical thinking with a little head, we're going to need 2 of those foil hats.
I didn't get it, but I laughed at it.
It's a penis.
It's a penis joke.
It's his penis.
Little head.
What's that?
Well, I'll show you later. keep that can of paint.
I'm the HR, so we're fine. It's allowed. It's allowable.
Brett says his pistol saved his life once. With all the crap going on in Rochester, I'm carrying the crap out of my pistols. And yeah, we have many customers. There was he a like a Spectrum Frontier worker or like internet?
The Rochester gunfighter? Yeah.
Yeah, like we have a customer who like have you heard that
Why?
story? Have you heard the story of like the national park ranger who was like struck by lightning like a dozen times or whatever? Like,
No.
Well, we have a customer who is that, but with like getting in gunfights. Like,
Yeah.
This dude has legitimately
Is
like,
Wyatt Earp your customer?
he steps out of his car and yeah. Like it's out there.
He just comes in like what's the boots called with the things in the back, the stirrup? They're not the stirrups. Just ting ting ting.
Good for him. He's been in like multiple news stories. Like it's happened. Like
He also does security, so
it's happened a couple
that makes
times now. But yeah, he was like, I want to say like a Spectrum worker showed up to like fix somebody's internet and like getting his tools out of his car and like yeah, it was like almost like carjacked and like got in a gunfight.
I've actually I've drawn my weapon once in self-defense too. I'm an accountant by trade. I own an accounting firm and I used to make a deposit for a client every month. And it'd be like 15, 20 grand. And I went to make his deposit and a car pulled up next to me. It was a night deposit. We're in Buffalo. Of
course.
And which made no sense. Like logistically thinking, if you're the criminal here, I went inside and made the night deposit. And as I'm coming out, he approached me.
Yeah.
Which
here's my receipt.
you should have stopped me. Yeah, like here's the receipt in an M&T bank bag. Like you got me. Look, but yeah, he pulled a knife and said that he wanted what's in the bag, and I was like, a receipt? Like I don't understand here.
There you go.
So I drew my firearm, and he decided it was no longer worth,
Good for him.
The
That was a smart decision on his part.
I'm grateful for it because the whole.
Randy says there's a movement to abolish the Second Amendment because the government will protect you, and that just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy.
I do.
Tell me where to vote for that.
I feel safer. I mean, Brandon, no offense, but like you sell guns, and they scare me because, the government really should have all the guns because historically,
we can trust them.
Historically, again, I'll say no government has ever disarmed a population and then committed mass genocide.
There's been no track
It's not happening in China as we speak.
No.
It's not happening in other countries across the world. It's not happening in countries without the Second Amendment. There's literally never been. Dwayne is pretty. I wouldn't make it in prison. I would be because like here's my problem. If I went to prison, is I think I'm tough. So I'd try to fight someone, and probably before I got into like orientation, I would be someone's prison bitch. Because I'd be like, yeah, this is jail now. Like I got to set the tone and really establish dominance.
Do you want my pocket now?
And then immediately, like probably 45 seconds in, I am someone's prison bitch.
I would be the guy in Shawshank Redemption, like first night, just I don't want to be here.
I'd be. I'm not going to jail.
I want to go home.
I follow all the laws.
I've never broken a law.
Doubt. You've never been caught breaking a law.
Oh, I've been. Yeah, let's go with that.
Protect your prison pocket, Jesus Christ. So, for those people that are unfortunately just joining us now, we are giving something away.
Yeah.
What are we giving away?
A gold
Not a prison
membership.
pocket.
Not
My prison pocket.
What are we getting?
That's extra.
So after the show, please subscribe to Brandon's OnlyFans.
Do we have? Can you drop our links? All my links?
Yeah, we do have it on my links.
We do have that.
Yeah, Brandon sells feet pics on OnlyFans.
I mean, you got to pay the bills somehow.
The crazy thing is, my
I got
girlfriend.
2 kids, man.
My girlfriend almost broke up with me because I've been buying like thousands of dollars of your underwear a month, and she said like, had to have an intervention. It was really weird.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. Like I love the support, but I gotta have you long term.
Well, just make sure you're paying taxes on it, because again, like without paying taxes, the government, some crooked politician, Andrew
they
Cuomo,
gotta get their cut.
And let's talk about our politicians. Andrew Cuomo resigned. Who was before him? Schneiderman resigned, the AG.
Yeah.
You had. I'm drawing a blank on all our politicians that just our governors resigned.
Touchy,
not Spitzer.
Touchy McFeely.
Schneiderman the escorts. It's tough to get them all together.
Who was the blind guy? Patterson.
Patterson was blind, and he didn't. I think
that today. Is that okay?
I actually don't think he committed a scandal. I just think he sucked at what he did.
Okay.
Which is
and just what he was like. He was Spitzer's.
He filled in for some. I think Spitzer because
he just didn't get reelected.
Right? Yeah, because he wasn't machine. But yeah, I mean, politicians have in the history of New York State. The last 3 governors haven't resigned surrounded in scandals, and it's not like Kathy Hochul has any scandals surrounding Delaware North or COVID or anything like that. I think you should make sure you're paying your taxes. You should actually overpay on your taxes because there's never been a government that uses your tax dollars to fund like corruption. And I think that just the government is such a great organization run by probably the smartest people I've ever met.
As an accountant, you know about return on investment.
Yes. And
government.
Government,
That's the best return on investment
it is.
Ever have.
Think about this. I pay taxes that goes to like fighting crime.
There's some kid out here just like soaking all this in.
Fighting crime and fighting poverty. And we've eradicated poverty. And don't forget, we won.
remember.
We won
We
the
did
war
that.
on terror. We didn't have to pull out of
And drugs.
Middle East- And we've drugs don't exist. Obviously, we won the war on crime. That's why they're banning guns, because there's no more crime. So you don't need a gun to protect yourself because crime doesn't happen. I mean, the government has a 100% success rate in everything it does, and I just think it's a great thing. It's just blessed.
Hashtag.
Blessed.
Hashtag blessed.